My name is Alexander Mitra, and this is my neuron model. Throughout this video, I'll talk about the parts of the neuron and how each part is involved in sending information in and out of the neuron. And then I will put the whole process together to complete the idea. First, I want to discuss the nucleus. The nucleus contains genetic material called deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA for short. It also contains mitochondria that provides energy for the cell, and ribosomes that make protein. Next, the cell body, also called the soma, contains the nucleus. The cell body connects to dendrites, which bring information to the neuron, and the axon, which sends information to other neurons. As aforementioned, dendrites are the branches of the soma. In order for neurons to be active, they must receive action potentials. Dendrites are structures that receive action potentials, or electrical messages. These messages fall into two categories: excitatory and inhibitory. An excitatory synapse could lead to the depolarization of the postsynaptic cell. This means that if an excitatory synapse occurs, then the electrical signal can be sent from the dendrite to the soma. An inhibitory synapse does the exact opposite. If an inhibitory synapse occurs, then there isn't enough information to send to the soma from the dendrite. This means that a postsynaptic neuron is less likely to generate an action potential. After this is the axon. The axon conducts action potentials, or electrical messages, away from the nerve cell body. Basically, the axon sends information to different neurons, muscles, and other parts of your body through the central nervous system, or the CNS for short. Now, the axon has many parts. The first part is the myelin sheath. This spiral wrapping of myelin around certain axons helps insulate and speed the nerve impulses they carry. Much like how fiber optic cables have repeaters and insulators to move the signal more efficiently. The next part of the axon is the Schwann cells. These cells produce the myelin sheath. Also, if damage occurs to the neuron, Schwann cells help support regeneration of the neuron. Finally, the node of Ranvier are those holes between each of the myelin sheaths. These sections contain rapid conduction of the impulses being sent out of the axon. The last part of the neuron that I'm going to talk about today are the axon terminals. The axon terminals contain the neurotransmitters that are clumped into vesicles beneath the surface of the axon terminals. The axon terminals, since they are located on the end of the axon, which is sending signals outward, are located on the presynaptic cell. Now that I have clarified the function of each of the parts of the neuron, let me go through how information travels through a neuron during processing. First, the neuron is sent from one neuron to the next through a synapse between the axon terminal of one neuron to the dendrite of another neuron. Once the dendrite receives the action potential and decides that there is enough to send it on to the cell body, the dendrite sends the electric message to the soma. Next, the soma sends the electrical message to the axon. The axon then carries the message to its final destination on the specific neuron called the axon terminal. The axon terminal then has the job of sending the action potential to the next neuron's dendrite. The axon terminals first sends its neurotransmitters across the synapse between the axon and the dendrite of the next neuron. These neurotransmitters lock onto the membrane of the dendrite. This binding allows for the impulse to travel to the receiving neuron or the postsynaptic cell. And the same process repeats. Basically, the neurons work as messengers in the body, sending messages from one place to another with the efficiency of a fiber optic cable. I hope you have enjoyed my neuron model and thanks for watching.